Hello there and happy Friday. I'm so glad you're joining me today. My name is Julie Hirschberg. I'm the owner and founder of Re+active Therapy and Wellness here in the Los Angeles area. And joining you this Friday to chat about functional neurologic disorders awareness. It is April. April is FND Awareness Month. And if you haven't heard of functional neurologic disorders, they're actually the second most common neurologic disorder to present to a neurology office. And this is something that we see at Re+active a lot. It's something we're really passionate about. We teach other healthcare providers about this disorder, and we run a program for people with functional neurologic disorders. And that's really what I wanted to talk to you today. I've been getting a lot of questions about functional neurologic disorders. And one of those questions, or many of those questions, actually, not just one, but many are about our program. What is it? What is a typical day like? Who, um, who are the people that are part of the program? Like, what's our team? What's the process of getting started? What are the typical outcomes that we see? So I want to give you a brief little intro to our program. And one of the big reasons we started our program was really because people with FND needed an integrated, holistic, team-based approach. And there are programs across the country. So Mayo has a program, and MGH in Boston has a program. There's a program in Chicago at Shirley Ryan. There's various programs across the country, none in California, and none doing an extended outpatient integrated approach that we do. So let's start with our program. Typically, here's the process actually. We'll start there. So typically people apply online. We have a program application under our FMD on our FMD page. So under reactivept.com, we have our services and you'll see our FMD program. We have an application there. That's where people start. They submit the application. We contact people for a free consult. So we really want to know if this is a good fit for people. It's not for everyone. And sometimes during that free consult, we actually find a provider near that person or a different program for that person. For example, we're not an inpatient rehab program. So if that's what somebody needs, we'll refer people to that. I know that's harder to come by, but we will make that referral. So people apply, we do a free consult, see if it's a good fit. The next step is to get the person's insurance, check their benefits, and see what's covered for their therapy. We provide an estimate of cost for the program, so people have a very clear idea of what the program costs before they come. And by the way, we have had people who maybe don't have the coverage or we're out of network for them, and they have petitioned their insurance and we're able to get it covered. So that is huge. That's been really big for people to have full coverage for the program. Because we're an out-of-network provider for a lot of insurance companies, that means that most people will pay up front for the program and get reimbursed from their insurance provider. We are Medicare providers, and the full cost of our therapy in the program is covered. We do have a couple of things that unfortunately Medicare doesn't cover. They don't cover our team meeting. That would be great if they did, but they don't. And that really is one of the secret sauce of our program, is that it is wholly integrated. So that is a cost that's out of pocket. And if the person is participating in yoga therapy, that's something that Medicare and other medical insurances are not covering. But we also have had quite a few people come through our program who have a financial need. And we have a scholarship process. We partner with a nonprofit called Resources for Hope. We have a scholarship process to apply for funding to cover some of the expenses of the program. So one of our missions in Re+active is to provide accessible care for everyone. And so that's one of the ways that we do it. So the person has an estimate, they make a deposit for the program to secure their spot. It's usually that the person is getting scheduled a few months out, so 2 or 3 months out. Sometimes, particularly when a person has a really acute diagnosis. So, for example, we've worked with somebody recently who acutely was diagnosed with CRPS. We were able to get them in right away so that they could really have a maximum benefit. But that is harder to do for everyone because if the schedule's full, it's hard to get a regular appointment scheduled like 4 or 5 days a week. So for the most part, people right now we're scheduling July and August. It's March, so we're scheduling out into the summer. And so once we have a deposit from somebody, we schedule out that program. And this is one of those big questions that people ask is what does that program look like? So it is not a one size fits all program. It's individually based. We decide in that free consult what that person really needs. And typically PT, physical therapy, occupational therapy, psychology or neuropsychology, and yoga therapy or wellness with our fitness professionals. So those are the components, those are the people that they're working with. Our whole team has been a part of these intensives. So that's neurologic specialists, orthopedic specialists. Our OTs are amazing with both getting back to life activities and modifying changing lifestyle for energy management, fatigue management, pacing through the day, exploring your values and your purpose in life and finding those activities that really bring meaning to you. Um, our OT team is just phenomenal. Also working on the autonomic side of things. So regulating the nervous system throughout the day is another thing that our OTs are really great at. One of the big pieces that they tend to work on is sleep. So sleep hygiene, sleep management is a big part of our nervous system regulation and a big building block for neuroplastic change. So our OTs work really closely with people to work on improving their sleep. And in fact, our OTs are undergoing training for something called, oh boy, it's CBIT, cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. And so this is a really unique skill that they're bringing to our intensives for the people who have insomnia or sleep issues. So we've got OT, we have physical therapy. Our physical therapists really work on that brain body interface for movement control and helping the person to put movement in the background, which is a trademark term of my colleague Mike Studer, but really put movement where it should be, which is an automatic way, helping the person access automatic movements for walking, for getting out of bed, for doing sports, whatever it is that's important to that person. That's a big part of the PT role. Also, we work on all those pieces of the pie. So autonomic nervous system, sensory system, motor control, and the underlying physical impairments that can be part of the movement issue. That's the PT role. The OT work on the sensory, autonomic, and typically lifestyle factors, as well as psychosocial factors. But a big part of the psychosocial, emotional realm of things is working with our psychologists or neuropsychologists. If there's a cognitive issue for somebody, so maybe brain fog, difficulty thinking, difficulty making decisions, judgment, executive function, our neuropsychologists will do some screening and testing and incorporate that into treatment as well. We're so lucky to have neuropsychology on our team. Our yoga therapists. So we can approach yoga in many ways. We have a yoga therapist. We have OT that also brings yoga to their practice, and then we also have new on our team is a CODA, certified occupational therapy assistant, who also brings yoga principles to practice. And having that component, particularly for the autonomic nervous system and connecting the mind, brain, body it's a game changer to have that on the team and to have extra practice for that. So this doesn't mean that you're going through downward dogs and warrior threes all of the time. It's a much different approach to the whole person through yoga, and it's a really important part of our program. So that's our team. We have incorporated exercise professionals too. So we have neurologic personal trainers on our team. And we're working actually on a peer group and some classes that people from our functional neurologic disorders program can partake in. So it's very comprehensive. What does that look like in a day? So again, this really depends on the person. Most people are actually doing 4 days a week of PT and OT, 2 days a week of psychology, and 1 day a week of yoga therapy. So then you can imagine every day there's 2 disciplines happening in the day. So you might have PT and OT, you might have PT and yoga therapy, you might have PT and psychology, but you're having something every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And a lot of people who are visiting us, maybe from out of town, out of state, they will get an Airbnb or a hotel near us to have during their stay. So we have several people in Airbnbs right now near our offices. That also gives them the opportunity to have a space to practice in and be in away from therapy, because certainly we're doing things 5 days a week, but you're also wanting to incorporate some of those tools into your daily practice while you're washing dishes and doing things around the house. So that is an important part of it. We also have had some kids join us for our program and stay at the Ronald McDonald House. So that's another great resource that is not too far from us. It's in Long Beach, but a great way for people to stay and be able to work with us as well. So we talked about our team. We talked about a typical day. We talked about what it is to get into the program. And the other thing that people have asked a lot of questions on are, what are the outcomes? What might I accomplish in the program? And this is different for every person, right? Because it depends on where you're starting. So we have had some people that have started full body paralysis, unable to see or use their eyes or speak well or eat. And somebody like that can make really great progress. It might be a little bit of a longer program. Start moving their limbs, use their eyes, be able to speak more, be able to use all their facial muscles, be able to start eating and swallowing a little bit, and take those first steps to being able to stand and move again. A person that comes in who's walking but having difficulty with that walking, they likely will be able to improve their walking to a point of being able to not use an assistive device and get around the community. What we see for most participants in our program is a significant improvement in their activities. This is called reactive, by the way, recovering activity. So in all of their activities, in their quality of life, and in a decrease in their frequency of symptoms. So decrease in seizures, headache, migraine, tremors, weakness, sensory symptoms, pain. We see a decrease in all of those symptoms, sometimes to the point where they don't have those symptoms at all. We do see people in the program go through a flare or a change in their symptoms, and that's actually really helpful to see in the program, because we can be with that person to help them respond to it and help build tools for maybe maybe it was a change in barometric pressure that triggered some of their symptoms. Maybe it was a change in in a life event that triggered that, so we can work with the person through that. That's actually a really helpful part, and why we like having a little bit of a longer program. Having 4 weeks to explore that and go through the ups and downs together is really helpful. So those are the outcomes, and what you can expect from our team is you'll have the therapy throughout the week. We meet together as a team every week. And we also put together a program every week with a clear plan and transition once you're finished with the program. Some people that are local will get to taper the program. So maybe they went from every day to twice a week to once a week to once a month. For a person who lives further away, we're then going to be working through a program that they can do independently and also with a provider near them. Due to our licenses, we're not actually able to practice outside of California or Texas. We do have a therapist who's licensed in Texas, and we can do telehealth appointments throughout California and through Texas, but not in other states, at least for now. That is something that some of the physical therapy organizations are working so that we would have access throughout other states, but that's not something that is available right now. But we set up a really clear plan and a clear plan for independence from the beginning. That's one of our big goals, and we put that together for the participants in our program, a really thorough program and plan for when they're done. So there you have it. There's so much I could talk about for our program. It's really one of my favorite things to be a part of. And the outcomes, the changes that we see for people are just truly remarkable. And the fact that we get to be a part of people's journey with a functional neurologic disorder is really, it's really a privilege for us and for our team. So I wanted to share that with you, respond to your questions. If you still have questions, put them in the comments, send me an email. I would love to hear from you. And if you're not already on our newsletter, join our newsletter, reactiveeducation.com if you are a healthcare provider, or reactivept.com if you're a person with a neurologic disorder. I shared earlier this week on our Instagram page loads of resources, my favorite books, articles, videos, a lot about functional neurologic disorders, and that's going to go out in the newsletter this week. So do join that, and I would love to hear from you if you have questions. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch you next week.